What's going on, guys? Welcome to Thinking Outside the Pylons, episode 8. I am your host, Chandler Pickett. Thank you for stopping on by. Thank you for listening. So today, I am trying to do something a little bit different. Today, actually, I wanted to I have a lot of ideas for the podcast and I have a lot of shows that I'm ready to record, but this is something that I wanted to do that was a little bit different. It's something that I take a lot of pride in myself because one thing that I know is that I get a lot of these random facts and history in all sports. So I kind of wanted to just make an episode where I just shared some of the ones that I remember off the top of my head. So before I started recording this episode, I went back and I fact checked everything to make sure that everything that I'm saying is true because I don't want to say a fact that isn't, right? So there were some things I added, there were some things that I said and I did, and I just wanted to make sure that I had it all properly so that I could say it and it would make the most sense. So just to jump right in, that's what this podcast is going to be: is sports facts you didn't know, you should know, and now you do know. And at the end, I am going to be talking about some of the latest and breaking news in sports, some things that have been happening the past week that I kind of want to touch base on. So, getting started, and sports facts that you didn't know, you should know, now you do know, is that Hank Aaron and Willie Mays almost played on the same team. And Hank Aaron said he recalled one time he actually got two offers telegraphed to him, one from the New York Baseball Giants and another one from the Boston Braves. And the only reason why he signed with the Boston Braves is that they gave him $50 more a month. So we could have had Willie Mays and the Hank Aaron on the same team if it weren't for $50 a month, which is crazy. Another one is that in 1962, when the New York Mets became a team, they actually took their colors from the Brooklyn Dodgers and the New York Baseball Giants before they left. So once both teams went to California and the Mets became a team, they actually took the blue from the Dodgers and the orange from the Giants and made it into one, which is kind of a cool fact that a lot of people don't know that I think is amazing. Another one that's really interesting that a lot of people don't know is that the original name for the Cincinnati Bengals was named from Hal Pennington. He was the original owner, and he was in his mom's kitchen and he saw her stove, and her stove's brand was called Bengal. And he then went to go look it up, saw what it was, and he actually named the Cincinnati Bengals after his mom's stove, which is kind of interesting for a team that really is never on fire. That's their name is the Bengals, because actually it's another fact a little bit further down. Going for football is that the Bengals, before they became the NFL Bengals, they actually were the Cincinnati Reds, who historically has the worst NFL record of all time. They were only in like AFL, I think, for a couple years, if even that. And now, obviously, I believe the Browns do have the worst record in NFL history. But from 2017 to last year, even though the Browns went 0-16 in one of those years, the New York Giants actually have a worse record than they do. So since 2017, the Browns are 13-35 and the New York Giants are 12-36. So you can still go 0-16 for a season, still have two bad years where you didn't get over 800, and still not be the worst team in the NFL in the past 3 years, which is kind of crazy to me. I'm just going down a list I made, so I just want to make sure I'm saying them all right. Oh, yeah. On October 11th, 1993, Deion Sanders suited up in an NFL game and an MLB game. The MLB game actually being for the Atlanta Braves in the postseason in Pittsburgh. He played 1 p.m. For the Falcons. They went to Miami. 1 p.m. they lost to Dan Marino and the Dolphins. He then flew to Pittsburgh, which was 53 degrees, and he was arriving in shorts, got to the game, and actually suited up for the Atlanta Braves. So that is another really interesting fact that really no one knows about, which I find really awesome. They ended up losing the game, so he went 0-2 on the day, but he did actually end up suiting up for two different sports on the same day, which is amazing. Chris Paul, this is a really amazing fact. A lot of basketball players, a lot of basketball enthusiasts do know this one. The highest points he ever scored in high school were 61. And he actually did that for his late grandfather. He died, I think, the day of Chris's game, and he honored his grandfather by doing that. Before that, people said the highest he ever scored was like in the 30s. So to go out there and do that is just, it shows you who Chris Paul is for one, and like all the things that he truly is capable of, even in high school. So that's another really cool one. The This one is really funny because for a long time he actually held a record. Tom Dempsey, the New Orleans kicker in the 70s, actually had no toes on his kicking foot. Yeah, and he also kicked for a 63-yard field goal, which was the record until 2012, and I think it was Prater beat that with a 64-yard field goal. So the guy that held this record for almost, 50 years only had no toes on his kicking foot, as well as I think he only had 3 fingers on his right foot. So that's crazy too. Sorry. The next one is that the New York Knicks and the Boston Celtics are the only two NBA teams to never relocate. So in their entire existence, they are actually the only two teams to never relocate cities, which is kind of interesting. I mean, obviously, you look at them and you see who they are. They just haven't. Which kind of goes into Wilt Chamberlain when he played the Knicks and Hershey. Didn't care about scoring 100 points. So when he did it that night, he actually asked to be checked out, like get off the floor multiple times. By the end of the game, the Knicks were actually holding the ball for 24 seconds, so he didn't get the opportunity to hit triple digits. Also, the fact that the coach for Chamberlain's team actually put out his second lineup to foul the other team so that they had to shoot free throws so that Wilt Chamberlain could get the ball back and drive and score. And once Chamberlain actually scored 100, his coach then benched him and told him that 100 looks a lot better in the newspaper than 101. So that's something that no one really knows, but is really cool because he really didn't care about scoring 100. It wasn't like he was a mission, but everyone else was so focused on him scoring that he had to. Another one is that he also he also has his number retired with the Harlem Globetrotters. So he actually played with them for a few years, just on and off, and he actually got his number retired with the Harlem Globetrotters. Another one is that Warren Moon is the only player to have 2,000 passing yards in the NFL and the CFL. So the Houston Oiler legend, he also played for the Edmonton Eskimos, who I believe actually are changing their name now. He played for both those teams, and he threw for 20,000 passing yards in both leagues, which is truly, that's incredible. And then in 1982, Mark Moseley became the only kicker to ever win the NFL MVP. A kicker won the MVP award in 1982. Just remember that. Justin Tucker, there is still hope. You can do it. This one I find really interesting. This is kind of like the last one I have. These are just small ones. I might do this again because I just think it's interesting to have these facts. These are just the ones that kind of stuck out to me. When Roger Maris broke Babe Ruth's record with 61 home runs, they actually didn't honor it. They actually put an asterisk on it, and they didn't even count it official because Roger Maris' season was 162 games, and when Babe Ruth was playing, it was still only 154. So he actually he had 8 extra games to hit for his extra home run. So they actually didn't honor his 61 home runs. Another reason actually being too is that no one really was a fan of Roger Maris at the time in the organization. He was kind of like a dark horse. No one really liked him. So that was one of the main things, is that they didn't want to give him the that crown because Babe Ruth is just, he is baseball royalty, right? He is the Bambino, he is everything. So that's another interesting fact. Other than that, that's kind of like all I have right now. Tell me what you think. These are all true. You can fact check me. You can look them up. I did do research. Like I said, probably my favorite one is the one that the Browns don't have the worst record in the last 3 years. I think that's really funny. I'm sorry, Giants. there's hope. Don't worry. You'll be there one day. And the Hank Aaron Willie Mays, I find that the fact that you could have had two legends, I don't think if Hank Aaron would have went to the Giants, if he would have been the home run king, I don't know if he would have hit 762, but sorry, not 762, 754. But that to me would just, I don't think he would, because you never know, right? Everything happens for a reason. And the fact that the Bengals were named after a stove is pretty funny too. Just that's something you can like drop and everyone will enjoy that. And of course, again, sorry, one more is that the New York Mets, I use this a lot because a lot of people don't know, and it's something that's really interesting. It's really a tribute, is that their colors are blue and orange because of the Dodgers and because of the Giants. I think that that's such a beautiful thing to see in sports, that this city lost these two teams and they still pay homage to them. So I really love that. That being said, I am going to take about a 5-minute break. When I come back, I will be talking about the latest news going on in sports. That's going to consist of stuff in baseball. I mean, NBA is back, so Toronto looked pretty good. I mean, think about it. And then just a few other things, just some stuff I want to touch on. And yeah, so stick around. I'll see you guys in just a minute. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. So this portion of the podcast is just going to be me breaking down some of the sports that have happened in the last week, some of the things that I've wanted to talk about and that are just on my mind. So some of the things are going on with the NFL, MLB, and in the NBA. So I'm going to start off with the NFL and see, like, just talk about some of the things that have happened that to me are the biggest news in the sport. So the first one is being that Doug Peterson actually has COVID. So what that means for the Eagles, I don't know. That's crazy that when your head coach has COVID, because he, I guess, will have to be at home. I don't know if they're allowed to do anything when they have COVID, if they just have to sit at home and wait it out. But they obviously are going to have to make a game plan, and their coaches are going to be getting ready and doing everything that they need to get these players ready to go, because the season's coming up quick. And this is a part of the problem with COVID in the NFL right now. I mean, there's no way to keep these people from not getting COVID. A lot of players, I mean, are opting out. The Patriots, I think I have it here, have seen a total of 8 players opting out of 2020. Now, I don't see Bill Belichick being worried, but 8 players have opted out. He's in the back just thinking, you know, I didn't want them here anyways. They don't mean anything to me. I'm going to win without Tom Brady, right? So Bill Belichick isn't worried, but hey, like that's crazy that these players are opting out, and really the NFL isn't really doing anything to make them feel more comfortable. They still haven't made a protocol with the NFLPA, so that's still really big, right? So there still isn't something that they've said they've done to get ready for the season if anything does happen. I mean, the NBA has a bubble. MLB has shown a decent job with COVID, just because what happens to Marlins. The Marlins had 16 players with COVID and 4 coaches. That is more than half their team. A baseball team usually is 25. This year it's 30 because of this. But to have 16 players have COVID, I mean, come on, I know Miami's bad, but you gotta keep that under control. That's just absolutely crazy. Some other stuff in football is that Gardner Minshew, the starting quarterback to the Jaguars, and Matt Stafford, the starting quarterback to the Detroit Lions, have been put on the reserve COVID list. So that doesn't mean they have COVID. That just means that they are either showing symptoms or someone close to them actually has COVID. So they're going to be away from their teams. They have to be monitored for the next couple of weeks as well. I think that's it for football. It's really important. Teams have reported back. A lot of players have said they're not coming back. So this is kind of like the time in the NFL. It's going to be really weird. So it's going to be, I mean, I think the cutoff date is Wednesday for players to report, which is crazy that you can't just say, hey, I'm not feeling comfortable. But they are showing up, and they're going to have to see what happens and how this all plays out, because right now, no one really does. In baseball news, other than the Marlins having 16 people with COVID, the Phillies had to cancel all their games because of it as well. They start again on Monday, so they're starting to play games again. The Cardinals had a few players with COVID. I think they are expecting to have 2 people come back positive with COVID, so all of their games have been temporarily shut down. So that's what's weird with this MLB season, is that there's only 60 games. They're playing them in 66 days. So I know the MLB proposed 2 doubleheader games to catch up, being 7 innings. So that's something that's being worked out. But to me, it's just crazy that you'd have no time off. And this is what I was talking about before the season, is that people are going to have to see how this plays out. Because to play 60 games in 66 days with all that travel, I mean, this isn't going to be the only time players aren't going to be able to play because of COVID. It's going to keep happening with this much movement, with this much going on. It's going to, but we'll see how it plays out. I know that Manfred said that he's not a quitter, quote unquote. I am not a quitter. So he is really focused on playing the season, and it is up to the players to really step up and say, like, I want to play too, and I don't want to get this. So that's something to look into. Another cool baseball thing is that Aaron Judge has hit five straight games. He has a home run. That's awesome. Like, truly, that's incredible. I mean, if he can go 10, that's even more amazing. So that's really cool. Another one is Dansby Swanson, the Atlanta Braves shortstop. He has actually hit. Sorry, um, Atlanta Braves is hit for 10 straight games. He's got a hit. So Dansby Swanson in the last 10 games has a hit. So that's pretty cool. Dating back to last year, he actually has 11 because he hit one in the final game of the regular season. So that's kind of cool stat too. We'll see how that goes. And then this is the weirdest one. This is something I really did want to talk about. Before the game today, the Atlanta Braves versus the Mets, which the first pitch was at 1 p.m. Yoenis Cespedes was nowhere to be seen. He didn't report. He didn't notify his manager or anyone, any personnel, any players or anything like that. The staff then sent security to go to his hotel room in Atlanta. And when they arrived, they saw that all of his bags were gone. There was no sign of him. And halfway through the game, the Mets announced that he's opting out of the 2020 season and that they have acquired Billy Hamilton from the Giants. That is like the weirdest thing. Like, that takes me back to when the Bills player like just said at halftime, "I'm done. I quit," and left halfway through the game. Sorry, I don't remember his name. I do apologize. But like that's just crazy to think that a baseball player who was playing yesterday, went 0 for 4, I believe, um, just doesn't show up. And I don't know if that's going to happen again. I don't know if that's just a Cespedes thing. He's had a really bad couple years in his career. He hasn't played in like 2 years. He fractured his ankle. He had 2 ankle surgeries on both legs. So he just had a really weird year, and that's just another thing that's just like, I don't think the Mets want him back at this point. I know the fans don't. The fans are fed up with it, so I don't really see why the Mets want to bring him back because he's not contributing either. He has 1 home run this year, and it was on his first at bat of the season. Getting into basketball, some cool things going on. The Mavs clinched a playoff spot today, so that's pretty cool. We're going to see Luka in the playoffs. I'm really excited for that. I think that they're going to be a team that's going to surprise people. They probably won't get out of the first round just because of the way seeding is going to work. But to me, I think that they have a great team, and I think it's a team that we all really need to keep our eye on and look out for, because the Mavs are really, they're the real deal. Jonathan Isaac, I think he's out for the rest of the season. He got a really bad ankle injury, so that was a big deal. Another one was Jason Tatum, who struggled on a couple nights ago. I think he only scored 2 points and just had a terrible game. Really flourished last night with a 34-point game. He just went off. He just went crazy. So good for him. Good bounce back. I think Jason Tatum is going to have one of the best playoffs out of anyone in the NBA. I think he knows it's his time to shine. I think that without, all the distractions going on with Boston being such a team-oriented team organization, especially with Brad Stevens being the coach, I think that he's going to have a great chance in these playoffs. Him and Jaylen Brown, I think that those 2 players are really what Boston needs to piggyback on. Obviously, the Raptors came out and just blew the Lakers out of the water. I'm not worried about the Lakers. And honestly, I'm not worried about the Raptors. I don't see the Raptors being in the finals. they might be in the Eastern Conference Finals, but I don't see them getting around Boston. I don't see them getting around Milwaukee. I know Milwaukee with Giannis. Giannis is angry. He wants to be in the finals, and Boston is just too sound, truly, as a team, because they play the same sport, they play the same game, they play the same style that the Raptors do, and Boston's not going to let them get past them. So I'm not worried about the Raptors, to be honest with you. I'm sorry. I don't think they're going to go far into the playoffs. And if they do, they're not going to make it to the finals. Last thing I have on this kind of little nugget I thought was cool is J. Cole wants to try to make it in the NBA. So the celebrity, obviously great recording artist, great rapper, everything about that is really involved in basketball. I mean, I know he practices with everyone else in the off season. He hits up Lethal Shooter, Williams, everything. He goes out there and he balls C. Brickley, sorry. And I know he's always out there training and everything. So he's trying to train to get into the NBA and take his chance, which, I mean, that would be incredible. Obviously, I don't see it happening for just many various reasons, but I just thought that was a cool little nugget, and to make these weird times of sports with COVID a happy thing. Shout out to the NBA to making the bubble work. That is amazing. That is truly incredible to see the bubble is actually working for a team. Hopefully MLB can kind of get this back together and they can do well, because it is nice being able to watch baseball again, and the NFL just don't fall apart. Truly. I mean, just Roger, listen to the players, listen to the coaches. Let's make this season work, because even if every team can only play 12 games, that's more than zero. And that's what truly, as a football fan, as a sports fan, that's all we want. So that's it. That's all I have. Those are all the sports news that I can think of that truly I thought was the most interesting. If I missed something, let me know. I mean, truly, I want to know what you guys want to hear. I want to know what you guys want to talk about. And I really want to know what you guys thought about my random sports facts, because that's something I really love doing. So if you guys want to hear that again, I'll find some more things. I'll figure some stuff out to put on the show. Other than that, episode 8 of these guys for Thinking Outside the Pylons is done. Thank you so much for listening. I'm your host, Chandler. You guys mean so much. Please reach out, comment, subscribe. Truly, it means so much. I love you all.